All right, today we are going to fully assemble our board. So we should have already gotten to this point where we attach the trucks to the deck, the wheels to the trucks. We're just waiting for some hardware. So first things first, OnShape, in terms of uh, already created content, has a whole lot in the standard content area. But whenever you go to inch in the bolts, it's sort of limited. It does have some smaller items, like a 1032. Let's insert it and see how it looks. All right, so I mean, we can use that. The only thing we need to know is, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Insert standard content. So change it to ANSI inch, bolts and screws, countersunk bolts, and then change it to 1032. 1032 is the size. All right, it's slightly smaller than 1/4 inch 20. So the first number is the size, and then the second number is the threads per inch, which in this case you can't even see them on OnShape, but 1032 is a fine thread length, 1.25 inches. Thread length means it goes all the way up to the top. This is a countersunk bolt, so it has a conical type head that'll sink down into the whatever you are placing it in. So we do need to insert essentially 1, 2, 3, and you could technically insert them straight in there, but we don't want to do that because we want to countersink them. In order to do that, we have to grab the top of the head. So we're going to insert 1, 2, 3, 4. Move up here, do the same thing. 1. You have to click insert each time, which is kind of annoying, but 2, 3, 4. All right, so I'll hit the check there to make sure I dropped an extra one in here. Let me delete it. So, it comes with these near. So let me go to the last one I put in here. Those axis marks on them. To get rid of them, you can just open this up and then get rid of near. Doesn't matter when you do it. You can add them all to your board first and then do it. It doesn't do anything other than it's just really annoying to look at if you're not using them, and we are not using them. All right, so this conical shape, right, should sit inside there, but unfortunately our holes are just drilled straight through, and that's not going to work for us, right? So we need to figure out what size that conical shape is. So I can check it right here. Hopefully it'll give me the circumference up here. Well, radius is 0.181. Now I don't know if that's the radius down here or across here, but if a radius is 0.181, the diameter, we can just multiply by 2, right? So in order to add the conical shape in our deck, we're going to have to go into our deck part, and we're going to select the hole feature, right? And the first thing, it says sketch points to place holes, so I'm going to click the select mate connector, and I'm going to select all 8 of my holes. So I'll have to move up the board and make sure I have all 8. Next thing, it says, what do you want? No target parts selected for the hole. So you have to click here and then click on your deck, and then it'll make the hole. So by default, it won't say countersink here. It'll probably say simple. So you're going to have to put countersink. So a countersink is whenever it comes down in that cone. A counter bore is whenever it comes straight down like a larger hole. And we want to make sure that that is coming down into a cone. And we want that cone, right? 0.25 is what the hole already is. There's no taking that back. We can leave it at 0.25. That's okay. We're going to use the nut and the bolt on the top and bottom to help compress those two together. So if it's a little loose, that's okay. Right? This cone shape is what we're worried about, right? And we said that the radius was 0.181, but that's the radius. We need the diameter. So let's see, can we multiply this by 2? Yeah, we can. So that means that that cone at the top of the radius there is 0.362. Other than that, we can leave everything else the same. We'll just hit the check mark. Right, so put those nice cone looking countersinks in our board. Beautiful. Now we'll go back to our assembly and we can insert our hardware. Right? So I'm going to take my fasten mate, and the quickest way to do this is to select the top of each screw. You want to make sure that that blue line is facing up. Doesn't matter where you grab it, as long as that blue line is facing upwards like that, the Z-axis, you're looking pretty good. So then we'll select the top of my cone, and it should fit nice and flush right in there, and I can hit the check. Nice. So I'll keep doing the same. I don't know how I didn't click on that, but it's not working. Let me bring that back. Fasten mate. Select that. Select that. Hit the check. Do the next one. Hit the check. Do the next one. All right. You just want to make sure that they're sitting nice and flush with your countersinks. All right, instead of putting the incorrect nut on, we're going to leave that alone for right now, and we'll just have our hardware going through, and then we'll place our axle nuts on by going to Insert, Standard Content, ANSI inch, and instead of bolts and screws, you want to be in nuts, and then hex jam nuts, quarter 20, and go ahead and just insert 4 of them. So you'll notice on the 4 there, there's a top and bottom Z axis, and also another reason why we aren't going to add the nuts is it starts to get really laggy. So I'm going to take away the near and far axis lines on here by clicking the eyeball and just getting rid of them. And I'm just going to fasten mate them, the top of each nut to the top of each axle, and sometimes it will go straight on the correct way, which is great, right? We want the top of that nut to be flush with the axle, and then sometimes you'll just have to invert it. So let me grab, make sure you get the top, and place it on the top. Perfect, that one worked. Do the same thing on this one. Make sure you get the top. Rotate. Make sure you get the top. Beautiful. So again, sometimes you'll have to invert that, but for whatever reason, it's working like a charm for me right now. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. And then make sure we get the front. And we are finished. All of our hardware on besides the nuts on the bolts going through here. But again, that's just because there aren't 1032 nuts on here. You can see one over there that I was testing, but unfortunately didn't work. All right. So that is a finished board. We're going to go ahead and do the drawings for this, and that'll be it for this assignment.